What's happening, people? This is Ev, this is D2X, this is Shockwave on PSN. It's whatever you want to call me, man. And I'm here showing off some 2K gameplay. This actually highlights from my first time playing 2K in months because I was never really a fan of this year's my career after the whole Spike Lee joint thing. So I'm playing a lot of ranked matchups. As you can see, Chicago's my squad. I'm still a Derrick Rose fan till the end. Jimmy G Buckets, Pal, you guys already know. What I'm doing here is I'm discussing two upcoming sneaker releases that are going to be the hottest of the summer, primarily because it's Olympic season. And you know they're going to bring out some very sick USA colorways of a lot of shoes. And the two that I'm talking about specifically are the Nike KD9 and the Hyperdunk 2016. Now, looking at the KD9, a lot can be said about this shoe that hasn't already been said, but let's touch on what we already know. This is Kevin Durant's first signature shoe with an all-fly knit upper. Keep in mind, there's not even a hint of dynamic flywire in this shoe. And if you're one of those people who've experienced fly knit models ever since the inception of the concept with the running shoes, then you should be familiar with how good the lockdown is. And so if anyone has any insight to how form-fitting fly knit actually is without any extra applicants like the flywire cables or like some fused backing, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below because I'm gonna let y'all know this will be the first time I've ever experienced a fly knit upper on a sneaker. And the way the KD9 is constructed, somebody told me a couple days ago, like a friend of mine, he said that the way the Magista Obra, the Nike Magista Obra was set up, the fly knit pattern on the toe box created a much more smooth fit. Like it was very one-to-one, and the heel to toe transition along the upper was incredibly fluid. And I look at the toe cap of the KD, or really pretty much the toe area of the KD9, and the knit pattern is the exact same, if not similar to the Magista. Maybe the designer Leo Chang was looking at that and took some design cues from successful performance models that incorporated fly knit and fly knit only to give us something that we know we're going to have zero complaints about and is going to get the job done on the court whenever. And I'm gonna be straight up. I've experienced this with very few models in the past, but they have worked. The shroud-like ankle collar. I enjoy it. It's going to be something truly worth getting used to in a basketball perspective for me, but I can get it done. And another thing, and I'll reference this in talking about the Hyperdunk as well, I have never experienced full-length zoom on the court after it's been activated or after I've played in them for a couple of times because I've been a fan of a bunch of sneakers with targeted cushioning setups. Like you have zoom bags in the heel and the forefoot area, followed by some sort of midfoot shank plate. I haven't had a shoe with as much fluidity to incorporate a full-length cushioning setup unless it was one of my running shoes, which was the Lunar Glide. And I can't wait to really experience what a difference full-length zoom makes, especially in the area of high-impact basketball. And I hope that it does make a difference with a 16mm thick heel and a 10mm forefoot so that the offset is a perfect 6, which is a lot more snappy response. And I have yet to truly experience that in a hoop shoe because there's always something underfoot to provide the rigidity that you would need when making certain moves. Now, when I look at the traction pattern, I see that Nike has really tried to go above and beyond with storytelling traction designs. And if they perform well on the court, then I almost feel like they're not going back to herringbone anytime soon on these elite models. Again, storytelling traction designs have come a long way since you really started to see them in basketball shoes. And I think the KD9 is going to be no different. Now let's get to the meat of the muscle. The Nike Hyperdunk 2016. The first Hyperdunk with a fly knit based upper, and it incorporates a crew-like fly knit sock. Now, based on the success of the KD8, they incorporated a compression sock in the KD8 Elite, which in what I've seen did not completely exceed expectations. There was a lot of slack in the sock depending on how narrow or how thick your calf or your ankle actually was. But if you take the Flyknit based performance sock that comes with the Hyperdunk Elite, I honestly look at that as just an aesthetic application. Because I'm concerned about heel to forefoot lockdown, I could care less about ankle security. I mean, it does feel good, but it doesn't affect or hinder my game. So I'm looking forward to the Flyknit upper on the shoe itself. Now I'm going to touch on the midsole and outsole tooling a little bit. There are strategically placed holes in the outsole similar to the HyperRev 2014 that will put you directly on top of the full-length Zoom. Hopefully the midsole carrier isn't that stiff to where you can tell that the full-length Zoom has its responsive properties, but if it's not, it just probably has to be activated because I've never been in a sneaker where I couldn't feel the forefoot cushion unless it was like my Nike Hyper Quickness. That was a shoe where you could really say you can't feel Zoom. And let me see. What else about the shoe? Oh, I don't like the traction pattern. I honestly do not. I mean, I try to find some sort of silver lining in a pattern that doesn't look like it's going to be aggressive enough, and the closest thing I could come up with, or the only thing I could truly come up with, is that it looks like the Nike Blade traction pattern in a very, very, very budget setup. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I don't like the idea of traction lines. I mean, if you look at the HyperRev 2014, the traction lines, they weren't very durable at all, depending on how aggressive your style of play was and where you took them on the court. Then you got this, which is going to be made of the same solid rubber, just a little bit more dense, but I'm not sold on the pattern. I'm not confident in I'm sorry, Nike. I'm just not confident in the coverage. I mean, if anything, like, use some horizontal herringbone or the anatomically designed zigzag patterns. Like, use some of that. Like, don't just use traction lines. I mean, I don't know aesthetically what was the point in doing that. Let's just hope that the coverage is there, man, because I can't afford to be slipping in a quality model like that. And now, real quick, I'm going to touch on another shoe, the Hyperdunk Mid. I think it's scheduled for a release somewhere in October, which kinda sucks, because I was looking forward to being able to ID a USA colorway during the time of the Olympics. Especially if the Elite is the first one that comes out. But if you look at the shoe, it's pretty much got the exact same structure. They did away with the external TPU heel counter, and they went with the 3/4 collar height along with the dynamic flywire encased in the engineered mesh. The outsole tooling is the exact same as the Elite, a little bit dense rubber, full-length Zoom still there, so the cushioning is going to be the exact same in both models. The difference is going to be the lockdown and the overall comfortability. And I honestly believe that there won't be any problems with either of them. They did away with that crappy ankle collar from the 2015, and they went back to the original setup that made the Hyperdunk, and so that is another must-cop on the release calendar. And so yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for my spiel on the KD9 and the Hyperdunk 2016. Let me know in the comment section which one of the two models are you looking forward to the most, and if you can, go ahead and tell me why. Is it because you're a KD fan? Is it because you've been a fan of the Hyperdunk series? Is it because you haven't had to experience a Flyknit upper in a performance shoe yourself? Is it because you haven't experienced full-length cushioning in a basketball shoe? Like, let me know, man. Share your reasonings for why you're looking forward to at least one of these kicks. Until then, this your boy Ev. Y'all been watching D2Xpectations. I will catch y'all next time. A review will be coming out on one, if not both of these joints, so be on the lookout for that. Later.